not natural for you to just use it. Okay. I jump on Bambi if I have to. So no, okay. We're not at the size, and we don't have an ambition to really to solve, simple stuff. We want to solve the complex. Jacob Tackman, who founded the company, started the company because he was trying to donate money to a natural disaster that happened in Myanmar back in 2007. And he found out that it took a long time, it was non-transparent, he had to use his credit card, there was a lot of fees, there was all kinds of things going on. And he couldn't sort of really see where did the money arrive. So he thought like, okay, this can be done better. And that's really what drives us.
Thomas, thank you so much for coming down and having a chat with us today.
Well, thanks for having me.
It's great meeting you. Let's get started, but before we do, for those who haven't had the pleasure of meeting you, just tell us briefly who you are and what you do.
So my name's Thomas Juhl. I'm the CEO of a company called Inpay. Joined Inpay in 2021 and have been working there and trying to sort of bring us forward ever since.
Okay, can you tell us briefly what does Inpay do? What's its core value proposition and what differentiates it in the market?
Yeah, so we are a cross-border account-to-account B2B company, if you wanna sort of really zoom it in. We help corporates and consumers through those corporates, of course, to transition money from one place to another. We are specialized in solving, when there are complex issues or things that are difficult for a business to handle. We normally solve.
Let's start by setting the context a little bit and understanding what's happening in the payment space. We speak to a lot of fintechs and incumbents, and we see a ton of innovation, especially coming on the back of things like open banking. Things are changing very quickly. What's your outlook on what's happening in payments and where we're going?
I think the payments as an industry, or fintech for that matter, as the whole group area, is really an area that is ripe for transformation, for innovation, for disruption. What's really going on, in my view, is that because it has been a difficult problem to solve, and we've had technology that's been around for a long time, now is the time where we can actually do something about it. And it's everybody steps on top of what others have done. And therefore, we are sort of starting to see an acceleration, which has actually been ongoing for quite a while. Remember, Inpay is a company that was actually started in 2007, 2008. Okay. So we've been around for a long time, but it also takes a while to get the momentum as an industry, but also as a company.
You mentioned at the very beginning you're a B2B account-to-account payment company. Tell me what's unique? What's your unique selling point or unique value proposition?
And there are really three things, in my view, that sets us apart. First of all, our technology. I think that being around for a long time, having tried different things, but also having a fundamental belief that it's actually the compliance and the safety and security and transparency that drives the transformation of payments. So we built technology that allows us to very, very quickly integrate with others. We can do transactions very quickly, but we also have compliance and the whole KYC ML in the heart of the system that we've built, which actually gives us a very strong foundation. The second thing is a global network. And it sounds like, but you just connect with a bank and so on. But actually, if you want to do what we do, and if you want to do what payments companies do, building the foundation in terms of actually having a trusting network where you can do integration, full integration, where you can actually cooperate and build a network that allows you to execute, as you go forward, and maintaining that and really working with other companies on that. We have a big network. I mean, we're in 130 countries. We do all kinds of things in that, but that takes a long time to build up. So I think that's another thing that's unique, and in particularly we select our partners and they select us, and we work very close together. It takes a while actually to get in, but once we're in, it's really working. And the third thing I think is actually our people. We're a company of around 200 people at the moment. We have 45 nationalities, or a little bit more actually than 45 nationalities, represented in our staff. We believe in diversity. We believe in understanding the market. We believe in actually having different perspectives and trying to work that in. It takes a little bit longer. It generates discussions, but they are really valuable. And the way that we've built our sort of foundation, the way that we actually hire, we always hire for people who fit into the culture that we believe we built by being so diverse and so so multicultural. And it gives us a big strength when we meet our customers. We are a cross-borders company. We want to go to every corner of the world. Then you need to understand what those corners are.
Right.
On top of the other things that I've talked about, I think the other thing that's very unique and for some it was boring for quite some time is that we're actually making money. It's been the philosophy of the company all along. I call it the rule of 50. So we have to grow, we have to take this, but we also have to be profitable and we have to be able to sustain ourselves. So actually we're in a situation now where the financial markets have turned and everything else has turned, that we actually decide our own destiny. We have no external debt. We don't have, we're founder owned. We are in a very, very comfortable position when it comes to deciding for our own future. What do we want to do and how does that work? And unfortunately, a lot of our colleagues in the industry are struggling with that because getting funding now is not that easy. And luckily, we don't have that pressure.
Thomas, you mentioned that the network is one of the three pillars that sets you apart. Tell me a little bit more about the network that Inpay operates.
Yeah, so our customers are from all over the world, but they can be sort of, very close to us in Europe. They can be, in different other parts. A lot of what sort of, if you look at them, what characterizes them is that they need to make payments into other parts of the world. That's why they use us. That's where they use us, right? And to be able to solve that problem, you need a very broad, like I said before, more than 130 countries, a network. But you also need to look at the corridors that you're actually serving. Let me give you an example. One of the issues that our customers are having is that how do you reach corridors that maybe have a little bit less traffic, or where sort of actually reaching them or getting the right agreements is more complicated, where maybe the infrastructure doesn't allow for the same kind of feedback in the way that it's set up. And we build a lot of that. So we actually have, we have the whole SEPA region, that's what everybody has, but we also have like hard to reach countries where we help our customers to actually get the money there. A good example right now is one that we've just announced, which is a cooperation with the Danish Red Cross. And the test market we did there was Myanmar. How do you get money into Myanmar? That for us is an exciting problem to solve, because if we can build that corridor for the Red Cross, we can build it for anybody, right? And we believe that Myanmar, as the example here, of course, should also be a part of the financial ecosystem. We've done that for many countries around the world. As I said, it's too many to list them all. But fundamentally solving those maybe a little bit more complex corridors, or where it takes a little bit more sort of grit to come to the conclusion that actually works for everybody. And then on top of that, and that of course is where we then need to go as a company that serves businesses, is we then need to build, multiple entries into the same sort of landing spot, so that if one goes down, we have to build another one, the resilience in the network, and how do you build all that, which of course doesn't get any easier. It's already difficult to open in the first place, but that's what we do. So really reaching hard to reach places, that is part of the value proposition that we have.
So the technology, the network, and the people.
Yes.
Now, as a truly global company operating out of Denmark, do you think there's any advantage of being let's call it a Nordic native company when it comes to dealing with the rest of the world?
Denmark is a very, very credible country from that perspective. We have an FSA that actually works with the industry and actually contributes there. But also has like the reputation for actually being sort of strict and to the point, which I think is important for us to generate this kind of credibility and accountability over time as an industry. So I think that's definitely something. But I also think, back to my culture topic, that the humbleness that comes with being Scandinavian, the whole sort of looking at a problem as this is something I want to help and work with my customers and my partners to solve. And I think that if you were to sort of put it into a context of what does it mean to be a Danish or a Scandinavian company, I think this human-powered payments company, I think is probably one of the other strengths, other than just being trusted and credible, but also actually being different.
With the entrance of new players into the payment space, it's become a little bit of a race to the bottom when it comes to fees. There's a very competitive environment when it comes to the fees of payments. We've seen a lot of companies investing very heavily on digitalizing all the processes so that they can reduce their fees as much as possible. But I want to try to understand, what is the problem that Inpay is actually trying to solve? Is it a cost problem? Is it an access problem? What exactly are you focusing on?
The problem that we are trying to solve, and what we just talk to our customers about, is actually not about cost. Cost is a topic, and of course it has to be right. But we start in a totally different place when we talk to our customers. If you understand the customer's problem, if you're in cross-border, actually speed is a topic, transparency is a topic, completion rates is a topic. And before you get those right, so fast and secure and transparent, and before you get those right, I mean, it doesn't really matter. And I think we need to maybe shift our minds a little bit and stop thinking about how can we do this kind of, here's an API, and if you integrate to this, we can do it, this cheap, and and really get to, but what problem are we solving? And when we ask our customers, the problem we're solving for them is not that of, it just has to be cheap and I don't want to know about it. It's actually about understanding they want to transition money from this country to that country. That actually has a challenge. What can we do for them? How can we give them transparency when the payment doesn't go through? How do we solve it? How do we actually address it? And that's really the topic that we solve for our customers. And that's why when we look at our customer base, we have a very, very high loyalty and a very low churn.
Right.
And it of course sometimes ends up in a discussion on price, but that's a lot further down the road when they know that actually there are very few who can solve the problems that they have.
Okay, now I'm keen to understand what's the future of Inpay. What are the things that you have in the pipeline at the moment that you're developing for the next 2 to 3 years?
But if I try to summarize, we're trying to understand what more can we do if we offer different types of services to our customers. It starts by understanding what are the real topics that needs to be resolved, and how does it really work. What you should expect from Inpay in the years to come is that we'll be broadening the segments that we look at, and we will be broadening the kinds of problems that we solve.
Right.
All looking at all corners of the world, as we say.
Okay, I would like to double click on something you mentioned at the beginning of our conversation about your people.
Yeah.
Because you operate in 130 countries, you talk about the value of diversity and having people from all cultures that allow you to really understand the problems on the ground of the places that you work in. And yet we see that a lot of the payment companies are trying to just automate most of the processes. So how does having that cultural element that enables you to really understand the needs of the local markets that you work in, how does that translate in the way in which you're serving those the needs of those markets?
We're headquartered in Copenhagen. We have a fairly sort of large and growing office in London, but we're actually right now, expanding. We're in Dubai. We're going to look at, Asia. We're going to look at other locations, and multiplying maybe, or even in the regions that we're currently building in. So that's the first piece. So really being close to your customer and understanding the financial ecosystem as it really is in those. And if you sit in Copenhagen, or if you sit in, within the SEPA region, or in North America for that matter, do you really understand the need of your customers when they are in Asia? For instance, I've myself lived in Indonesia, and I can tell you that you learn a lot from living, that far abroad and understanding how things work. So our partners can do a lot of that for us. We can work with a lot of partners, but actually getting closer to customers when we go outside of, where we are today, I think is going to be important. So that's the first piece of that. Secondly, I think that if we were part of the gang that are looking to drive down cost and automate, and we would be a SaaS company. We would be a company that allows you to get an API, don't talk to us, just download an API and do that. That's not how we do business.
Right.
We think that that's an important segment to serve, and somebody else can do that. That's not for us. What we do is we really try to get close to our customers. We try to understand their problem. I want to deliver a premium service to the customers that use us, because what we see is that we're not at the size, and we don't have an ambition to really to solve simple stuff. We want to solve the complex. Jacob Tackman, who founded the company, started the company because he was trying to donate money to a natural disaster that happened in Myanmar back in 2007. And he found out that it took a long time. It was non-transparent. He had to use his credit card. There was a lot of fees. There was all kinds of things going on. and he couldn't sort of really see where we did the money arrive, and you know, so he thought like, okay, this can be done better, and that's really what drives us. So for us, really understanding what is it that's difficult, what is it that's complex, why is it that, you know, why is it that some payments don't go through? But to do that, you need people who actually understand not how it should be or how, you know, European financial infrastructure works. That they need to understand too, but they also need to understand how does that then map into an Indonesian context, to take my own example from before, or Myanmar, where this natural disaster was, or Brazil. I mean, that's really what we're trying to do. And to do that, you need people who actually, it's much easier when you understand the culture, when you understand the people.
Just to close, tell us a little bit, what's your vision for the future of the payments industry in the Nordics, in the markets that you serve, and also for Inpay?
I mean, our purpose is to democratize payments. We really want to make sure that we become a power to help include more people in the world. The vision for us is that we will be part of actually reaching beyond where sort of the ecosystem's already existing. We will help integrate and connect other parts of the world. And I think that's going to be a huge growth driver for many years.
Yeah.
And that's also why I believe that as an industry, we will continue to see massive growth. I mean, we are an industry where until recently, 97% of all payments were done in a traditional banking system, the traditional financial systems. It just dropped to 96. So it's a massive transformation that needs to happen, and disruption actually. And payments are growing, right? Every year there are more payments in the world going on digitally. So that's also growing. And then on top of that, we have a part of the world that's not really integrated.
Yeah.
So I think there's so much for the industry to grasp. It's not that difficult to see that there is such an opportunity here. But it's not really only about the opportunity. It's about the fact that we are part of something that actually enables the world to transform. And the more we can use our technology and our services to actually take away some of those hindrances for the people with the right intentions to actually do the right thing and become part of that, the better it is.
It definitely sounds like an exciting place to be working in.
I think so.
Thomas, we're really looking forward to seeing you at Nordic Fintech Week.
And I'm looking forward to the event. I mean, I think you guys have got a really good program, and I think you've stacked up a lot of exciting things. So yeah, I'm gonna be looking forward to it too.
Well, so are we. Thank you very much for joining us today. Great seeing you.
Thanks for having me.